Thank you for joining us here on the Buffalo Basement podcast. This is our normal Thursday show. Last week we brought you Jim McNally, and we want to thank you for joining us last week and joining us this week. We are sponsored by Staying Insurance Consulting. Give them a call for any of your planning needs. 716-322-0056. Again, that's Staying Insurance Consulting. Now, I want to introduce myself again. I am Matt Digert, and I am the host of the Buffalo Basement podcast, and I have my co-host here with me, Pat. You want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, my name's Patrick Bruckness. Big Bills fan. Thank you guys for tuning in.
And you said you're from Chicago, right?
Yes, I'm from Chicago.
Yep. And I'm born and raised here in Buffalo. I spent a little bit of time in Pittsburgh myself, and I've always been a big Bills fan, big Sabres fan. So we're going to be doing a lot of talking about the Bills and the Sabres. So um, I hope everybody joins us for that ride. Tonight we're going to get into a few things with the Bills, maybe talk a little Sabres as well. The first thing we're going to start to get into is the schedule. Now I do have a graphic here. This does come right from the Bills website. It is not mine. It is not ours. We do not have any copyright to it or anything like that, nor are we affiliated with the Buffalo Bills in any way, shape, or form. Just wanted to throw that out there first before we did that. And now we have this everything up here. And now, Pat, where do you want to start with the schedule?
Obviously, week one, you know, Aaron Rodgers' debut game at MetLife. Alan Lazard, they made some new additions to their team. It's gonna be a tough matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. That the Jets are going to be a huge matchup for the Bills, especially Week 1. Um, you know, the only downfall for the Jets, I feel as though their offensive line. Can they protect Aaron Rodgers? Can they run the ball? Is Brees Hall going to be back? Is that or are they going to have to go with a backup or anything like that? Their defense is going to help them stand on their own. Last year I can't believe they didn't make the playoffs personally, but from there, I who do you think wins that game?
I think Buffalo wins it. I think it's gonna take Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense some time to gain some momentum, some chemistry. I think Buffalo wins it by 10.
Well, I do also agree. The Bills win that game, especially Aaron Rodgers with the calf strain. I mean, you see how long that takes players of any age to overcome that. And yes, we're this far out from the season, but at the same time, it is a calf strain. Those things last forever. I mean, I know that playing golf or anything like that, you strain your calf, you can't do anything normal yard work as a normal person. These guys are finely tuned athletes, but they still stick. It still sticks around for a while. With that, so I I agree. I'm not going to give scores or anything like that because that's one of the hardest things to predict. But I do feel the Bills will win that game. It is the 22-year anniversary of 9/11 on 9/11, and I mean, I hope that it is a good game. I really do. You know, being the first Sunday night game of the year, I really hope it is. A good game. Who do we got next?
At home against the Las Vegas Raiders.
So the Buffalo Bills home opener on the 17th of September. That is a 1 o'clock game, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And how do we feel about them with Jimmy Garoppolo? And I mean, as far as that, the Raiders go, they still have Devontae Adams.
Oh
They
yeah.
did lose Waller, but they still have Renfro, and they do still have a potent offense. Led by Josh McDaniels. So
Oh yeah.
we know what he did against us with Brady, but Jimmy Garoppolo is not Brady. So how do you feel with that game?
Well, I think it's kind of the same thing. A quarterback that's gonna have to get used to a team. Um, I'm looking more on their defensive side of the ball with Max Crosby. I believe he will be going up against Spencer Brown,
Hmm.
which I think that would be the key matchup to the game. But I still think we can take care of that one pretty easily.
I do too, and especially with the competition we did bring, Brandon Bean and everybody brought in at guard you know with their draft picks with Osiris Torrance and signing of like David Edwards and McGovern. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, because that was one of my biggest things that I felt was a huge issue for the Bills last year is trust. You could see it, towards the end of the year, and especially in that playoff game against Cincinnati, and Saffold was just playing Ole. He was just letting the guy go. There was multiple times you saw him on video just letting the guy run by right to Josh Allen, and sometimes, yes, it's on the tackle, sometimes it's on the guard, but at the same time, there has to be a certain level of trust there to trust that your guy is going to, be there to take their guy. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I hope that McGovern, and if Osiris Torrance does win the job there over Bates, then we're going to have a good offensive line. They're going to be able to, figure out something to do against Max Crosby. Um, I feel the Bills win that game. Uh, Again, I'm not I'm not doing scores or anything like that, but as far as that goes, I think the Bills will beat the Raiders, and that puts us at 2-0.
Next up, we're in Washington, week 3, September 24th. How do you feel about that one, Matt?
First of all, are they still going to be the
Oh,
Commanders? I mean, seriously. I heard about I saw the whole trademark thing on Twitter and everything like that. I mean, I hope they can get their stuff figured out. I always enjoyed watching them growing up. I mean, personally, and it's tough seeing a team go through basically what the Bills went through for 17 years, and it because of bad ownership, because of things like that. That's what it really comes down to. But as far as that game, I don't even want to get into it. I mean, yes, they have an okay defense, but I think the Bills just demolish them that game. Like
I
I
agree.
could I could see 30 points, 30-point difference.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
I agree.
I mean, I don't see any part of that being out of the realm.
Yeah, I don't see that game being pretty close at all.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
not
bad
neither do
matchup
I.
for them. It's a
So I mean
really
that
bad
that
matchup.
yeah, I mean that puts the Bills at 3-0 right there. We have a big game coming in with the Dolphins.
Well, that's going to be a tough one considering they played us tough last year. They got Vic Fangio, their new defensive coordinator. Um, Josh typically does well against Miami, and hopefully that continues.
What is he now? 8-2 against them.
8-2, or no, I think it's 9-2.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Josh always played, even his first year. I mean, they did add Jalen Ramsey, you know, but at the same time, for whatever reason, Josh steps up and plays well against Jalen Ramsey. I don't know whether that's because he called him trash coming out of college or what it is, but Josh for whatever reason, he has a chip on his shoulder when he plays the Dolphins. For whatever reason. Like I honestly have no idea why. He did that coming in. I can understand it even more now, but with the whole Christian Wilkins thing and everything like that, I can see Josh having a huge chip on his shoulder in that game, only winning by a couple points, losing one game to them last year. The nice thing is they come to Buffalo in
Yes.
October. We don't
No
have to
heat.
go there in October.
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, I do think this game is going to be very, very close. Because they still have Tyreek Hill, they still have Jalen Waddle. Quarterback, question mark. It's most likely going to be Tua, but does he come back to his form where he was playing well last year, or is he going to regress or kind of level off? Who knows? But I do think that's going to be a close game. I do have the Bills winning that game as well.
So do I. And to note on that, I think Josh is 2-0 against Vic Fangio in his career, putting up 40
And
points in one of those games.
yeah, I mean, he put up a lot of points when we played the Broncos. I think that game was here actually when against Vic Fangio. I'd have to look that up, but I'm almost positive it was the one here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, and then it also might have been the one game against where Kumro caught that catch.
Yep, in Denver to win the
Mm-hmm.
AFC East.
Yep. So I mean that puts us right now at 4-0. for when you're doing 4 game stretches, I mean, you want to win all your games in those 4 game stretches. This was 2 home, 2 away, and you're 4-0, 2-0, 2-0. So that's a pretty good start to the season. I mean, it really is.
Oh yeah.
You couldn't ask for anything better than 4-0. Um, on to the next, onto the next week would be, we travel across the pond to London, to play the Jaguars, and that's an early morning game for us, anyways.
Oh yeah.
But the last time we were there was against Jacksonville, and EJ Manuel almost led that amazing comeback. It kind of stinks for a couple things that happened in that game, but you know, hopefully Josh steps up for that game as well, because we all know what happened the last time Josh played the Jaguars. Nothing.
Yeah, it was not
Like,
pretty. That was
Josh
frustrating.
Allen on defense for the Jaguars got the better of Josh Allen, the elite quarterback. So, how do you feel about this game?
Well, Jacksonville has a pretty high-powered offense. Obviously,
And
with
they
Trevor
added Calvin
Lawrence.
Ridley.
Oh yeah, Calvin Ridley, who's really good. Obviously, Christian Kirk, who had a good year, Zay Jones, who had a good year, Evan Ingram, ETNE out of the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
He's a threat. Our defense better be ready to play.
Yeah. No, they definitely will. I mean, I could see this being if the defenses don't show up, I could see this being a very high scoring game.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
so could
because you
I.
do have they Trevor Lawrence, is one of the better up and coming quarterbacks in the league. Um, I could see Calvin Ridley being a huge weapon for him, because he truly didn't have like a number one elite receiver last year. Yes, Christian Kirk proved to be a very good 1B, 2A type receiver when he was able to step up. But I mean, you're going to have him it's also going to come down to how much of a different scheme is it going to be on defense? How much of it, is it going to be more, like a man press type defense? Are we still going to go with the two over the top? What are we going to do? That's what we're, kind of waiting on with McDermott. And, if you go back to, when he was with the Eagles, even in Carolina, he had a very, very aggressive defense. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to. I've watched all Carolina games or anything like that. I don't. But anytime I caught them or anything like that, they always played very, very well, and he was always very aggressive with his defense and how he handled that. With that being said, how are Elam and Trey White going to hold up? Does Trey White come back to his normal self and everything? And I know we'll get to this in a little bit with the OTAs, but is he going to be back to Trey White?
I hope so. I believe Sean McDermott said he's worked very hard this offseason. And now that he has a full offseason to recover, I expect him to be back. Because in the last stretch of our season last year, it looked like he was starting to figure it out. Again, he was starting to trust in that knee. So I think so. I hope. At least I can
Yeah,
say
and
I
I'm
hope
hoping
so.
it was that Cincinnati game was a little bit of a fluke, because you saw it in the Dolphins game. I mean, even though it was very cold out, it wasn't snowing, it wasn't doing anything like that. But I almost wonder if the snow got into his head a little bit in that game, where hey, I don't want to plant wrong and re-injure myself or anything like that. Um, but with that being said, as long as those two can cover, you got your all pro safeties in Poyd and Hire, uh, um, Poyer and Hyde, excuse me. Um, how do you think that Jacksonville game turns out?
I think we win. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. Because last time we played Jacksonville, they were all over Allen. He had to hurry his throws. To be fair, it's a different offensive line, but still, their defensive line is very good.
No, it definitely is. I mean, the one thing I will say is from hearing Allen the other day, in his media availability, um, he said a lot of times, in years past, his eyes have been in the wrong place, and he he wants to get better at those things, and wants to kind of focus more on those type of things more than so he can find guys that are open, that should be open, that he has to trust himself, he has to trust his eyes. So with that being said, I really do think it, like you said, I think it's going to be a high scoring game as well. Um, I don't think like as high scoring as say the Dolphins game could be, but I think it's going to be probably in the 20s, high 20s, maybe low 30s. But um, we'll definitely see. I do have the Bills winning that game as well, which puts us at 5-0. Then we have the homecoming of Dable. How do you feel
That's gonna
about
be
that game?
that's gonna be a fun one. People call them the baby Bills. They signed Jameson Crowder. They had Matt Breida,
Hmm.
Isaiah Hodgins, a fan favorite. I think we're gonna win that game. I really, I might sleep on the Giants defense a little bit. I don't think it's that good to hold with this Bills offense, to stick with this Bills offense.
See, I'm a little bit different though. I really do think that the Giants are do have a good defense with Thibodeau and who is it, Dexter Lawrence, and that defensive line, I really think they can hold up. It's really going to come down to their cornerbacks and things like that, covering Diggs and Davis and Dalton Kincaid in the slot when when they put him there, because like Brandon Bean said, 11 and a half, 11 and a half personnel. So not 12 but 11 and a half personnel. But with that being said, I do think the Bills win that game. The one question I wanted to get to you, I know it's a little bit not off topic because we are talking about the Giants, but what do you think happens with Barkley?
In my opinion, I think he's still going to be a Giant. Depending on their record come the trade deadline, he might get traded. They might hold on to him.
I was more thinking, what do you think what happens with the contract though? Because I mean, he signed, or he hasn't signed that tag yet. So
Oh,
yeah, he hasn't signed the tag yet. So with that being said, do you think he holds out? Do you think he plays? Do you think, you know, because I know that they offered him in season last year, just from reading things on Twitter from, Giants reporters and things like that, they had offered him a contract in the 12s per year and he turned it down.
I think he might hold out for a little bit, but I think he will play come regular season.
Do you think he's there for week one, or do you think he's
I think he'll be there week one.
even still? That would mean he would be in for the Bills game, and I think they win either way. I really do.
So do
Um,
I.
Daniel Jones, I think that the Bills can stop him. I think that if Vaughn is back by that game, which is he said no more than week 6. Could he be back that game? Sure. I mean, could he be on a pitch count by that game? I don't think he's going to be full bore by that game, but I think that the Bills will end up wreaking havoc in the backfield against the Giants. I really do.
Oh, I agree, 1,000%.
And then after that, we got one of our most hated rivals in the Patriots. How do we
Yep.
think that game goes?
Well, Josh typically plays well against them too. Um, but I'm not going to count out a Bill Belichick defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will be close, kind of like how our last matchup with them went. I just think we'll see a little bit more often from us.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, yes, you can start getting snow in October and things like that, and cold weather in October. I'm not gonna. I live in Buffalo. I have most of my life. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say it hasn't happened. But the last few years, we've really seen like nice weather in Buffalo um, around that time. So my thinking with that is you're gonna see the same type of weather in the New England area because they are going to New England. But with that being said, I could see that being especially being a 1 o'clock game, I could see that being a warmer ish type game. Maybe not like 60s, 70s, but I don't think it's going to be like 40s or 30s either. I think it 50s, mid 50s, right around kickoff, right at that point. So Josh should be able to throw the ball. The last couple of years we've played in colder weather in New England and things like that. So I really do think Josh will have an opportunity to throw the ball and kind of spread the ball around in that game. Who knows what happens with James Cook, because he had a very against the Patriots. So I think that's another win for the Bills.
I agree. I think we win that game. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I just think we'll see a little bit more offense than we did in our last matchup against them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, especially with you have Matthew Judon coming off, the edge there, and so I never rule out a Bill Belichick defense. We saw a couple years ago what happened, in that win game. We lost that game with Mac Jones throwing twice. So,
That was so
but now the
frustrating.
nice thing is we have their weapon that they used in that game in Damian Harris.
Yep, a Damon Harris revenge game. Sign me
Yeah,
up for it.
absolutely. So that puts us now at what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
6
and
and
0.
0. 7-0.
7 and 0. And coming up on a very tough game in a couple of weeks, but before that we have the Buccaneers.
On Thursday night.
Yes.
Um, is Baker Mayfield versus Josh Allen arguably the guy who should have went number one? I'm not going to complain because Josh fell to us. Jacksonville's defense is very good. See, they have good offensive weapons,
Yeah, Tampa's
but
defense, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down to quarterback play though. And at the end of the day, I trust Josh over Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely. And as far as that goes, I really do think that, when Josh was drafted, I felt there was two very good quarterbacks that could turn into like elite level quarterbacks in that draft. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I wanted Lamar Jackson because I didn't think Josh Allen would be there because I thought Cleveland would not do Cleveland things and take Josh Allen. It either 1 or 4, so but with that being said, I do think that's a win. I don't think that Baker Mayfield can create enough offense and not make the boneheaded plays that he does. But for some reason, there are certain games that he does step up for. So with the Bengals coming up, I don't believe in trap games personally, but if there was one type of that on the schedule, I could see this one being that type of game where they're looking more past, the Buccaneers here in Buffalo on a team they should beat, looking to somebody back in Cincinnati, where we go back to against the team we lost to in the playoffs, against the stuff that happened with DeMar. I could see them looking beyond that, but I think that Sean McDermott will have them ready for the Buccaneers game, and I think that puts us 8-0 going into that Bengals game.
Well, that Cincinnati game is gonna be fun. Um, Obviously we know they're a very good team. They're good defensively, offensively, one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best. I know some Bills fans are not going to like to hear that. Um,
I
this
mean,
time
it's
around,
tough. It's tough to say they're not a top offense
oh
because
yeah,
I mean they have Jamar Chase. Like I don't care who the quarterback is back there. Like I'm not saying I could go back there and do it, but you could take their backup maybe and have them throw to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Boyd, and have Mixon in the backfield. I mean that's a pretty potent offense. Like that's that's tough. That's a tough task. And this is honestly, and I'll throw it out there right now. This is the first loss I have for the Bills on the season. You know, unfortunately, but I really truly feel that the Bills do not match up well with the Bengals.
I'm going to agree with you there. I think this will be our first loss of the season. I don't
Now
think.
let me say this though. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be closer than what the playoff game was, but I truly think that this will be a close game. But I think that the Bengals will come out on top on this game.
Oh yeah, I think like you said, it's
Now
not
I
going
do I do want to stir the pot a little bit,
to. Okay.
because I've been seeing a lot out there and everything like that. In this game, you're going to have two of the top 3 quarterbacks on the field. A lot of people out there saying that Burrow is better than Allen or Allen is better than Burrow. Like personally, I think Allen is a better quarterback than Burrow. I think Burrow is way more accurate. He gets rid of the ball quicker, but I think Allen is the better quarterback.
Oh, I agree 1,000%. I think Josh is the better quarterback. And for
So I mean that kind of puts it right there for us that we have Josh at 2
Oh yeah.
and Burrow at 3, and then Mahomes at a league in his own, way beyond. I mean, eventually could Josh get there and be on that level with Mahomes? He can. He has to get over that hump first, and get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, bring that championship to Buffalo. But at that point, we can talk about that when that comes down to it. But so we have the Bills right now at 8-1, going against the Broncos.
Well, what Russell Wilson are you going to get? Are you going to get Russell Wilson of old?
Exactly. I mean, are you going to get the Russell Wilson of old? Are you going to get the Drew Brees ish type Russell Wilson that Sean Payton type offense can bring? Because I've always loved watching Russell Wilson. He is one of the best deep ball throwers I've ever seen. Personally, like live, and he just throws such an amazing pass deep. So are you going to get that Russell Wilson that can bring a team back, that can lead a team down the field? Or was last year not a fluke? And is he no longer cooking?
Well, I think with Sean Payton, we'll see a better version of Russell Wilson, but not the old Russell Wilson. That's where I'm at with it. And me personally, I have us
Mm-hmm.
winning this game. The especially
Oh, absolutely.
with Von
Absolutely.
Miller. I believe that's his first time playing Denver since being traded from Denver, or is it his second time?
I'd have to look it up to find out, but I mean, I'm pretty positive that it is. I don't think he played with them with the Rams, and I know we didn't play Denver last year with the Bills.
Yeah, so I think Von Miller's gonna have a
So
pretty big impact on this game.
I would think so. I mean, I would think he's going to especially get up for this game. But again, him coming back, are they going to try and protect him for the playoffs? Because that's really what they brought Von Miller in, is to be a closer. I think even still with the snow and everything like that, I think that playoff game against Cincinnati goes. I think they still win, but I think it goes a lot different with Von Miller in the lineup.
Oh,
He could have made a play or two, and get pressure on the quarterback, and it could have been a Bills win that at that point. But you saw what he did and what he caused last year. Yes, it was regular season, but against Mahomes at the end of the game, where he didn't get to Mahomes, but he made him move enough off of his spot where he made a bad pass and threw it right into Taron Johnson. Taron Johnson made a heck of a play, but he threw it right in that area and threw the game away.
yep.
So with Von Miller, I mean, if he's on at that point and he's playing full go, I could see a Von Miller kind of type of revenge game. Um, but I do have the Bills winning there, so that gets them back on the winning track. That puts them at now 9-1,
Then we,
and then we play the Jets. They come into
me
Buffalo.
personally, I believe Aaron Rodgers doesn't play well in Buffalo. I gotta check the stats on that, but I believe he has a losing record in Buffalo.
I think he does. I don't even know if he's ever won a game in Buffalo.
So, in my opinion,
You'd ha-
no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'd have to look that up, but I think he's either only won one game, or I don't think he's won at all in Buffalo. Because the last time I remember him playing here, Mario Williams basically strip fumbled him in the end zone, and they ended up winning that game. Besides last year, you
Yeah,
know,
I have us winning this game because typically we have played the Jets well at home too. Obviously, in the Jets have out of all the teams in our division, the Jets give Josh the most problems. They give our offense the most problems. So I think this game will be a defensive game, but I think we win it. I see us. I see both teams scoring in the low 20s.
hmm I could see that too. I could see I mean, especially in mid-November, I could see a game very, very typical of the one last year that we played against the Jets, when Josh hurled it over. I can't remember the player right now, but then did that 360 spin over top of him, and everybody's like closing their eyes watching him hit the ground. But I again I think this is going to be a very close game as well. The Jets defense, especially with Quinn and Williams and their defensive line and everything else, plus Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson. I mean, they should be hitting their stride at this point if everything is working out for it. Yes, it's a big if, but I think Aaron Rodgers will get it at least for this season. Will get it going for them. But I do think this is a close game. I do think this is a win for the Bills at home. Um, then we have a very, very big game the following week before our bye. The following week we play the NFC champions, the Eagles.
Now, for me, this game is a toss up. Obviously, you got Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Zach Goddard, I believe. Zach Goddard? Dallas, thank you.
Dallas.
Dallas Goddard. They have a very good offense. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is a dual threat quarterback. He can hurt you with his arm. He can hurt you with his legs. And plus, their defensive line and their defense is very good. I have us losing this game.
I do as well. I think this is a loss. I think their defense is going to be too much for Josh to handle. I mean, especially adding, Nolan Smith, especially with them adding Jalen Carter. I mean, they basically took the Georgia Bulldogs and put them in the Eagles. So I mean, it's they have a very, very good team, and I would not be surprised to see them repeat as the NFC champions and the NFC's participant in the Super Bowl. So we'll kind of just move on from that week, go into the bye. We'll be what is
Yes.
that? 10-2. 10-2 going into the bye. I honestly think that's where you couldn't you couldn't ask for anything better going into the bye being 10-2. Sean McDermott is very, very good coming out of the bye. He has his teams ready to play out of the bye. And we go against Kansas City.
I have us winning that game. I think we match up well against Kansas City.
I absolutely agree. I do, especially with them not having besides Travis Kelce, but he's not a receiver. They don't have a true number one receiver. Not that that's the biggest thing in the world because they won the Super Bowl without a number one receiver last year. They had Juju Smith-Schuster, MVS. They had Travis Kelce, and Mahomes has whatever it is about him. He has the ability to spread the ball around to everybody. And then, oh, you guys are rushing now. You left the middle open. I'm going to take off and get 15, 20 yards and slide and, pick up the first down or whatever the case may be. He did that to us multiple times, in years past. The only thing that stopped him this time is a shoelace tackle by Von Miller. And that is one of the things that, like I was saying, Von Miller finds times to step up and play in these big moments. And that's why he was so sorely missed last year, is for those big moments. But I do have the Bills eking out another win against them. This is always one of those great games, for them in Kansas City. And I really think that the Bills will do well against Kansas City.
I agree. Like I said, we match up well. In my opinion, we match up well against Kansas City, and Josh's best games come against Kansas City. Minus
his playoff game is, in the AFC Championship game, but yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think this is a great game coming out of the bye. It's 4:25 game. It's you get to sit down on Sunday and watch the 1:00 games and see a ton of other football before you get to, as a Bills fan, get to watch this game. Even a football fan, this is going to be one of probably the best games of the year, just like it has been last year, just like the divisional round was the year before. So with that being said, we go into Dallas at 11-2, holding. Hopefully, at that point, we will be holding the tiebreaker over the Chiefs, but hopefully they're not like 13-0.
Hopefully not.
At that, or 13-1, or 12-1 at that point. But we would hold the tiebreaker over them with the head-to-head matchup going into Dallas, which is another tough game. I mean, there are some there are a lot of like I don't want to say easy wins because no there's so much parity in the NFL that no game is an easy win ever. Should they be, should some of the teams be should some of the games be blowouts that you think about and then you see them just like the first week with Detroit and Kansas City on the Thursday night opener. I don't think it's going to be as much of a blowout as people think it is. I think that team has gotten way better in Detroit. Do I think Kansas City's still going to win by 10 points? Absolutely. Because they have number 15 back there. But I don't think it's going to I think it's going to be a very very good, very competitive game. But Mahomes will make his play or two that he makes every single game to get them, those 7 to 10 extra points that they need. So with that being said, going into Dallas, how do we feel about
Well,
that game?
it's going to be December 17th in Buffalo. Obviously, Dallas being a dome team, I think this game's going to come down to defense as well. Obviously, on their side of the ball, they got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs. Then that's another key matchup: the Diggs versus Diggs.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be a very fun matchup to see. That's gonna be
Very
a very
fun.
fun matchup to see, and I mean it does come down to it. Is I think Dak is as bad as Tua in the cold weather and everything like that, and he does not play well in the cold. And you're coming up to Buffalo mid December where it could be 3 feet of snow. It could be below zero. So all I got to say is, should it be a close game? Sure. They have a very good defense, but I don't think it's going to be. I think this is going to be a lot higher of a scoring game that most people think. I think Josh is going to, run away with this game,
I hope you're right.
literally and figuratively. um, but with that being said, so that puts the Bills at what do we got now?
14-2, right?
13, 12 and 2 or 13 and 2? Be 12 and
12 and
2,
2.
right? Because that's 14 games. Yeah, 14 games, 12 and 2. Um, then we go into Los Angeles. Nice warm game at the end of the year, and it is a a late game, but I think it's going to be a very good game. I think that you got the likes of Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen if he can stay healthy. They just brought in Quentin Johnson. Who knows what's going to happen in this game? Because their defense, it's really going to come down to their defense. Can the Bills stop their offense? And that's kind of what the theme of it seems like with the parity in the NFL lately is there's not a lot of teams with high end defense anymore. It's all about the offense. It's all about putting the ball in your quarterback's hands and throwing it. And yes, it's been going more and more that way. But look at the entire AFC. I mean, just off the top of my head, you have Lamar Jackson, you have who now has Odell Beckham and Zay Flowers. Um, you
Joe
know,
Burrow,
you got the Bills. Yeah, you got the Bills with Josh Allen. You got Joe Burrow.
Mahomes.
You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Justin Herbert. I'll throw him in there, but Tua, just because if he's healthy, he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and those guys
Oh
just
yeah.
get open. Their speed. So if he can hit them, they're going to score a lot of points as well, just like they did last year. Um, but the problem for them is they play in the AFC East, which everybody is up north, and they're the only ones in the South. So they have their games that they have to come up here. They have to play in the cold, and again, Tua is not good in the cold. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I do have the Bills beating the Chargers personally.
Oh yeah, so do I. Like you said, whose defense can stop the other team's offense? And I trust our defense more than I trust the Chargers defense. So that's why I like us.
I do. I do. I trust Sean McDermott more than I do, their defense. So to, make the right calls at the right time. We'll see as the season goes on because he hasn't done it since 2015, 2016.
True.
And then he became a head coach for the Bills. So we'll see what happens, but he was talking about it, with Pat McAfee the other day. I don't know if you saw the clip or anything like that, but you know, he apparently stuck his head in and told the offense
One
we're
and
one and
zero.
zero. So we'll see what happens. But then we go in, or then we come back home. We play the Patriots, and I don't even at the end of that year. I don't even. I don't even want to pick the game because I think it's
Oh
just
yeah,
going to be a win. I think it's going to be a blowout in front of the fans. I really do. I'm always, like I said before, I'm always scared of Bill Belichick's defenses. I don't think it's going to matter in this game. I think they're finally going to get over that hump of getting the number one seed and getting that and working towards getting that bye. I think this is going to be, I don't want to say like 30-point
20,
blowout,
25.
but I could see it. I could see it be
Okay,
like 17.
I I agree.
So
New Year's Eve, Highmark Stadium's going to be rocking, just close
mhm.
to the playoffs. With our record, we obviously would be in have a high chance of taking the one seed. So I like it a lot. Like you said, I think we win by 17.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then we don't know when this game is going to be at this point right now, but we go down to get a nice little vacation. The Bills do get a nice little vacation. Not being funny there, but they do have a game to win. They do have to play the Dolphins, who is going to be still a tough opponent. Because you're talking Miami, it still could be 60, 70 degrees down there, and not that you're not used to it, but by this time you're playing so many cold games, so many cold teams. That 70 feels like 90.
That is true.
So with that being said, I still think the Bills win this game. I think that they have 2 losses on the year. Personally, I don't think that they lose any more or anything like that. But I have them being what that would be 15-2.
15-2, correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like I'm being a homer or anything like that, but look at the teams that I had them lose to. That look at the teams that we had them lose to. It's the
Exactly.
Bengals. It's the Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, we have them winning that game, but we also say that that's going to be a close game. Could it be? Could they be? 12-5? Sure, absolutely. If they overlook the Buccaneers to the Bengals game, that could be a loss there. If they could lose to Jacksonville in London, but I don't see them losing any more than 5 games.
Well,
So I mean, we'll all see. But I mean, go ahead.
I'm going to say I don't either. I see us at our our ceiling is obviously I think 15 wins,
Hmm.
but our lowest is 12.
Yeah,
Because when
yeah, I
healthy, we're one of the best teams in the league. We
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. As much as Bills fans get upset about it and everything like that, you know, let me say this: calm down, come off the ledge. The Bills are still a very, very good team. Vegas has them as a very good team. Pundits around the league may not, but they are in love with Aaron Rodgers and they are in love with Burrow and things like they have a very recency bias. So, with that being said, I do want to get into, 2 more things. The first thing I want to get into first is, the whole DeAndre Hopkins thing that has been going around, as far as that being brought back up and everything, because we're getting close to June 1st or anything like that. I'm not saying he's going to be a Buffalo Bill or anything like that. All I'm going to say on this topic personally is I don't see him on the Cardinals week 1. Whether that is the Bills, whether that's the Ravens that go get him, whether that's, the Chiefs, whether he gets released. I don't think he's going to be traded. I think he'll be released with it, after June 1st. Could he be traded? Like, could I see it be a very Sammy Watkins type situation where they show him off that first game and then get a call being like, hey, or could a team have injuries and be like, hey, we lost this guy, we need to pick up somebody like a D Hop? Sure. I think more that they have a very stingy owner with his wallet. I don't think that they want to pay him what they will have to pay him during the season. I think he gets released. They save 11 this year and 11 next year on their cap. and then they can, they have all those picks. They could literally get, the top two picks. They have theirs and they have the Texans. They could literally get the top two picks and have Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, it's not out of the realm because they're
Oh
not a
yeah.
good team. Neither are the Texans. As much as with them getting C.J. Stroud and everything like that, I see them improving this year? No. The next couple years, absolutely. I think that they are on the right direction to improving that team. But I think there's a few more pieces that need to be added before they can even start talking about having even a winning record. But
Oh,
with that
I
being said,
agree.
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say I think the only way we get him is if he's cut
Hmm.
by
And I
obviously the
agree with
June
that.
1st.
I agree with that. But I don't think that they want to be paying him. And I don't see him being on the Cardinals week one. Personally, I think he's going to end up getting cut. Whether he goes to the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Chargers, even because I mean he even said on the podcast with Brandon Marshall, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Those are the five that he would want to play with. Josh Allen is number one, so if he were to get cut, could I see him in Buffalo and them trying to work something out? Absolutely. Especially with Von Miller being like one of his really good friends. I could see those things happening, but I am not an NFL GM. I'm not a scout. I'm not anything like that. I don't have inside information. Would I love to see him on the Bills? Could it open up a lot of possibilities for the Bills? Absolutely. You could, have you could stack Diggs Davis and DeAndre Hopkins on one side and put Dalton Kincaid on the other, and good luck.
Good
Good luck.
night. It's over.
Yeah. And with that being said, I mean, we'll end the topic there, because I do want to get to a little bit of the OTAs. I know we've been talking about it here, and I know you had some things you wanted to bring up and things like that. So I'll let you take over from here.
Yeah, obviously a few insights on OTAs. They said Justin Shorter looked impressive. Gabe Davis has looked impressive. Ed Oliver surprisingly has looked impressive. Me
Yeah,
personally, I
it
want to
is
see.
that Oliver has come in as a different type of player, but money does that to you.
Yeah, it
He's in a
motivates you.
contract year.
It motivates you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me personally, I want to see him do it on the field
Hmm.
before I even think about extending him.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see it with pads on before anything else. And I'm of the mind personally that I don't want to see like I would rather them sign Gabe Davis early like over the summer than Ed Oliver, because I think Gabe Davis, if he has a breakout year, you're going to lose you're going to lose him. But you sign him for a modest deal now, and when I say modest, I'm talking 12, 13, 14 million dollars. Not something that Diggs gets, but not also low end receiver money either. Like your mid tier wide receiver two, low end wide receiver two money. I don't have those figures in front of me or anything, so like I said, I'm not looking at that or anything. But as far as Gabe Davis, I'd like them to sign him sooner rather than later, so that something doesn't happen during the season where now you have a Tremaine Edmonds type situation. Um, Ed Oliver, I'd like to see it actually happen on the field before, and I'm not talking just in training camp. I'm talking actual week 1, 2, 3, 4, and he has 10 sacks the first 4 weeks. Sign him. Like,
Right?
like what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, no Bills player under Sean McDermott has had 10 sacks in a year. I think Jordan Phillips was the closest. I think he had 9.5
Yeah, he
the
did have
year
nine and a
before
half.
he left to go to Arizona. But as far as that goes, yeah, I mean, if he has like 4 weeks and he has he has 10 sacks, sure, sign him. I'm
Oh
happy
yeah,
with that. But I want to see him to put a full season together of consistent, very good play, elite play. Show me why you were drafted 9th overall before they sign them to a deal.
I agree. Because in my opinion, he has not proved it yet. He has
No.
14 and a half sacks, I believe, in his career. And to a guy that was compared to Aaron Donald, he's been
Hmm.
a letdown.
It
He's
really
been a
has.
let, and hopefully he turns out good for us because we could use him this year. But me personally, I just don't see us extending him past this year,
Yeah, I don't.
unless,
I
like
don't.
you said, he breaks out.
Yeah, but he breaks out. You're also talking. Can you afford $20 million for defensive tackle? It
Which
becomes
we
again. It becomes a Tremaine Edmonds type situation. We were never paying him $18 million, 18 and a half,
oh
whatever it
never.
was. But um, and I think the Bills, as much as I did love Tremaine Edmonds on the field, there was a lot of things for him that needed to improve. He put up elite, not numbers this year, but he did put up elite type play. He seemed to be in position a lot more than not this year compared to other years. Because one game off the top of my head when I think it was I can't remember if it was Skylar Thompson or Tua that threw the ball over the middle. I think it was Skylar Thompson and to Gesicki, and Tremaine Edmonds was in the right position to be able to get his finger on it and mess that pass up enough that he dropped it.
Yep.
Dropped it.
Another
So
play I think about when I think of Tremaine Edmonds is that one in the playoffs where he blasted. I can't remember who it was in the wild card game.
it was against the Dolphins, I know that, but I
Oh
can't
yeah,
remember the player. Yeah, but again, I think that they, especially speaking about OTAs, I think that they have with Dorian Williams. Um, I don't know whether it was just lip service or whatever. Brandon Beane saying, he's going to start it outside. I don't know whether it's, hey, we're in OTAs. Let's see if we can't get him the work there now. And if we have to, he moves to mid or he moves to outside behind Milano or whatever the case may be with him. But if he is able to come in he was a third rounder, correct?
correct.
If he comes in as a third round pick and wins that starting middle linebacker job, they may have something. They may be able to, they may have something. Like, and I know from watching a little bit of his film, he can cover side or he can move, go side to side. He's not as quick and athletic as Tremaine Edmonds. Doesn't have that size either, but I think he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. Um, this year, maybe, but you're gonna have with any rookie, you're gonna have those lumps that he's gonna have to take.
Oh yeah. Um, and I believe you already said it that he is, as of right now, learning to play middle
Mhm.
linebacker for us.
Yep.
I would love to see it.
Yeah. So would I. So
Love to
I
see it.
would love to see that him turn out to be a replacement for Tremaine Edmonds, whether they wanted him to be or not. I hope that Sean McDermott might have seen something in him and or talking to him or breaking something down during rookie minicamp. Maybe he made a decision and is like, yeah, we said this, but we're going to put him there now and get him going. So, with that being said, I mean, what else is there from OTAs?
Well, bad. Naheem Hines has looked bad. He's dropped a couple punts. Maybe it's rust, but would you consider him a cut candidate, especially with the new kickoff rules?
I mean, it's tough, but if he makes, I mean, if he makes it, because they only have one round of cuts this year, right? Like they're starting that this year.
I think it's this year, but it
Mm-hmm.
could be next year.
So with that being said, I could see him as a cut candidate. I was going to say, I could see him as a second wave cut candidate, but I could see him ending up getting cut. I mean, I really could. I mean, you have James Cook, you have Damian Harris, you have Latavius Murray. For whatever reason, Latavius Murray just won't quit. He goes to the Ravens and he has a bunch of good games, and for whatever reason, he's still a very good running back. He's not elite. He never was elite, but he's still a very good running back.
He's solid.
And the nice
He'll
thing,
fight for the shirts.
yeah, the nice thing I like about this year is I don't know the exact number, but I know that Kansas City last year they had under, I think it was like 5.5. They spent under $5.5 million in salary cap on their running back room. What do we have right now? I mean, even with Naheem Hines, you have because you have. I think they're under 5 or 6. They've got to be.
Oh yeah, I know for sure we're under 7. I think somewhere
Hmm.
around 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I mean, that seems to be the working formula in the NFL is you don't need to spend big money on running backs, and you know unless you have a generational talent like a Saquon Barkley. Unfortunately, with his injuries, he really never has been able to fulfill that generational talent type hype that he had. But with that being said, what else we got?
Well, Ed Oliver, I guess, gave Osiris Torrance the work, which is expected. I mean, you got a vet going up against a rookie. It's gonna happen
Yeah, like I said, I mean, with any rookie, you're going to have lumps. They're going to have to take, if they're going to start Osiris Torrance, if he wins that job, people are going to have to understand that he's going to have lumps. He's going to take his lumps and he'll grow from that. And, failure in that way is only going to help him learn and only going to help him grow as a player.
for sure. Failure is a key to success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we also have Tyler Bass throwing a touchdown pass to Reed Ferguson. Maybe he throws a touchdown pass this year.
Oh, we'll see.
Who knows?
We'll definitely see. I'm not going to put any money on it, but
Oh no, I'm not either.
but yeah, I mean, with that being said, I mean we're getting close to our time. Anything that you want to say in wrapping up? Any other things from training camp? I mean from OTAs?
Well, that's really all I have from training camp. Um, I do have one question for you.
Yeah.
Do you see Von Miller starting out coming back before week 6?
Let me put it this way: will he be ready by week 1? I think so. Based on Von Miller, seeing what he's done throughout his career, the freak of nature that everybody talks about that he is, seeing what he's doing in these videos off to the side and already moving around, making a couple cuts here and there. Not major ones, not things that you would expect week 1. So, do I expect him back week 1, or do I think he's going to be ready to go week 1? Yes. Do I think the Bills put him out there? No, I think he starts on pup.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you there. I think we'll see him. I think we'll see him week 5, but
Yeah,
on
I
a
don't.
low snap count.
I mean, as far as that goes, I don't think that I think his prediction or his guarantee will be correct. I don't think he's going to be out more than 6 weeks. But at the same time, even if he's ready week 1, I think that they will have a sit down with him and say, "Hey, look, we need you for the stretch run. Look what happened last year. They paid all this money to him, and if he's not there to be the closer again, and we all saw how bad the pass rush was when he left or when he got injured.
Yep.
What are they going to do? Like they can't do anything without that guy. And that's why one of the things that I do still want them to sign, even though they did bring in Shane Ray, which I think could be a big signing if he pans out, because he was starting to build his career in Denver, and then injuries and everything else led to his downfall there. But that could be a sleeper signing for the Bills. That really could be. But on top of that, I'd like to see them add a Justin Houston, a Yannick Ngakwe, whoever, who else is out. I
Frank
can't think of
Clark, Melvin Ingram.
Melvin Ingram's the one I was thinking of, but I don't want to see Frank Clark here. I don't think he fits the culture. I know that's a heavily used word here, but in Buffalo, for the Bills, but I don't think Frank Clark fits the culture. But I want him to sign one of those top 3 edge rushers out there. So just as a insurance policy more than anything else. because if you bring in a Justin Houston, if Von Miller goes down, you can not that you're going to get the same stuff out of Von Miller. I mean, out of Justin Houston as you would Von Miller, but it's still going to be a high end replacement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But besides that, that's all I have.
Okay. Well,
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Matt, for hosting. Thank you for having me. And that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be back next Thursday to talk more Bills. Probably have a little bit of Sabres. I hoping to get on, a friend of mine who's a very very good, Sabres talker, for lack of better terms. But again, the show was brought to you by Stang Insurance Consulting. We do want to thank you for joining us. We are part of the Undercovers cast, and check them out Mondays, 8:30 with all the guys there, and girl as well. Don't want to leave Jenna out, but we do want to thank you for tuning in to us with us tonight here on the Buffalo Basement Cop podcast, and we'll see you next Thursday.